self-control. Her gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I hope you're all ready because it's Saturday night, and thanks to Paula and Frank, great show, great to hear you guys. And I hope you guys are having a great Saturday night. Sorry, I got a few Tic Tacs in my mouth. I thought they'd be gone by now, but they're not. So, but you know what? I'm not alone here in the studio. Joining me tonight is my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Don Longbeard.
That would be me. Hey, my mic's working.
Woo!
Woo! Hey, batting 1,000 right off the top.
You know it's not working?
It's not working?
No, you know what isn't working?
Oh.
Do you mind?
We're not on. Certainly.
I forgot.
Certainly.
We can turn that on.
Hey, we're on the air now.
It's now official. We're on the air, ladies and gentlemen. You are now tuned in to the Truth Frequency and the Paranormal Portal. Your protection from the deception of ghosts. I don't know.
Okay.
The tagline for TFR is your protection from deception. And I was trying to spin that towards the paranormal. These Tic Tacs are. They're all over my mouth. I can't talk. Sorry. They are now out of my mouth. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Tonight, we're going to whip you up a fresh batch of Paranormal Mayhem, which, you know, Paranormal Mayhem shows are just Don and I having a good time. Having a good time talking about several different things, and hopefully you guys will join in. If you'd like to join into the conversation and be a part of the show, by all means, please call in. And the phone number to call in for the portal is kind of special, kind of unique. It's 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500 is how you get a hold of us. We have a unique dialing code. Mm-hmm. That's just... They're
not special.
It is kind of. It's a lot special. Yeah, I mean, it's really, really cool. But we'd love to hear from you. Last night's show was really great. I really do apologize for the real rookie intro. I don't know. Things just go sideways in the studio for some reason.
Settings get changed.
I know.
Odd places.
No, you know what it was? I looked into it, Don, and you and I were talking about this just before the show. But we had the software that we use for broadcasting is a software called OBS. Really great software, and if you're ever looking into getting doing live broadcasting or you know whatever on YouTube, this is an amazing piece of software, and it's freely available to anybody. So it's not like there's a huge price tag on it. But had everything set up months and months and months ago, maybe even last year, and then suddenly, boom, something quit working. So I had to reset up the sound with the help of Mr. Geo quite a while ago. That's been working this whole time. until last night when it just decided that no, the old way was going to work and the new way that I set up with Mr. Geo wasn't going to work. And so what it did is it flipped over, but automatically the new one that was set up with volume and perfectly and everything. And I had to switch it. It automatically switched over to the old way, which was metered down quite a bit. And so that's why it was so faint. I had no idea. There was no warning, nothing. I had no idea what was going on. If it wasn't for Don, I probably would have done the whole episode that way. So thank you, brother.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's what we do is we watch out for that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And so how are things for you?
Things are good. It's been a long day, but here we are. And ready to do some more.
You're just gonna give it a light veneer and then move on. Nothing.
Well, nothing special happened today. You know.
All right. Good.
Got up, ate breakfast, went to work.
Woo! All right. Well, and here we are.
And here we are.
The portal is underway, ladies and gentlemen. So, I wanted to talk about a few things right away because I've got these things called. Let me find the tab now. It's up here somewhere. Now I like this site, and it's called singularfortean.com. And they have all these headlines and stuff, and there's really some neat things. So if you're into the Fortean, and basically Fortean is pretty much the topic of the Paranormal Portal. I mean, just everything Fortean, will cover it. I just like that this site gathers all these different headlines from all over and kind of creates their own, compilation of them. So there was one here that I got to find quick. It seems I've misplaced that as well. But let's see. Yeah, everything is just all. Oh, look, this is the one. Now this is more timely for like for Halloween time. Yeah, but I think it sounds really cool. Apparently, a flying witch has been reported over Turtle Creek near Darien, Wisconsin. So very wild. Now that we're going to read a little bit about this, but Don, you might want to. We got to get Paisley in on this because I have to say, what the hell's going on with flying witches now? We didn't know this stuff was real.
Yeah, no doubt. I thought bat wings was it just a code word?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But apparently there's something to that because there are apparently flying witches going on. Now, Lon Strickler, rather, of Phantom and Monsters. Was apparently the one to break this story. And it's a great site as well. If you go to phantomandmonsters.com, great job. And Lon's been doing this forever and does a really wonderful job. But it was reported to him on February 25th. Let's see. He says the witness was traveling west on Creek Road on her way to work. And as she approached the Turtle Creek Bridge, she observed a large winged being that she described as a flying witch. The being was at treetop altitude and was gliding in her direction, which makes it even more creepy. It's one thing if it's just flying, but if it's coming at you, that brings a whole new gravity to the situation. So it was early dawn, but enough light was available for her to make out the form. The winged being suddenly descended towards her and barely missed colliding with the hood of the car. She described the being's wingspan, so apparently it had wings. So I wonder if it was more like a harpy kind of thing,
Ooh, yeah.
But was much wider than her car, and that the body was a brownish color like a paper bag. The body looked feminine and slight, so it was very thin, and the wings were bat-shaped and very large. She never noticed the wings flapping. The speed in which it descended was not natural. The face was unremarkable.
Neither is a flying human.
Yeah. So yeah, as far as we know, winged people are not natural either. So that's a good point. Yeah, without having a natural knack of stating the obvious, but yeah, good point. It said the face was unremarkable, almost blank.
Did you just?
What?
Nothing. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh.
You're talking about the story, not me.
Oh, okay. No, she noted and that she swerved and almost hit the guardrail. So didn't notice where it flew to after that. But the woman is of Hispanic descent, which I don't know why that's important or not, but I guess it could be something to do with a belief or observance of some kind of folklore. Looks similar to a witch that was described to her as a child. Okay, and I don't know much about Hispanic legend regarding witches and stuff. I did not know that they appeared with wings, but she was very upset and worried. The witness identification of the creature as a witch may be related to legends of the lechuza. In Mexican folklore, a lechuza is an old woman, often a witch or bruja, which can turn into a giant black bird. In most stories, the bird is an owl, but sometimes is described as an eagle. Oh, very wild, huh? Now that's interesting, Don, because I don't know if you'll remember it, but I remember reading a story a while back where these children were out in the yard playing, and they noticed this woman up in the tree that was looking at them and cackling. And then when they went to call their parents to come out, suddenly it wasn't a woman anymore, but it was a giant bird sitting there.
Wow.
And perhaps they said an owl. I don't remember the type of bird, but it does seem to speak to a transformation. What do you think of that kind of stuff?
I think that's just creepy.
I don't think your mic's working again.
What?
I think you're not working.
I'm working. I'm doing the best I can over here. Wow.
There you are.
Oh, there.
Okay.
Hey.
So what do you think about it?
It's scary.
Scary.
Because we hear about, you dive into, the weird things like we do, and we come across, the stories of the bruja and the witch doctors in the Mexican lore and the Latin lore, I should say. And they're kind of scary.
They are, but what do you think? Is that stuff possible? How are you feeling about that?
I don't know. Duke said, yeah, there's winged humanoids.
Okay.
So are they a cryptid, or are they? Well, they must be some kind of a cryptid, huh?
That's a good question. Are they cryptid, or are they supernatural, or what are they believed to be, Duke? If you could let us know,
yeah,
that would be cool. I to be honest with you, I've heard of flying people, but not with wings. So this is a newer one to me.
Right. You hear of Mothman. You hear of, Ahools. What's the other one? No.
What was the second one?
Not that.
You're an a-hole.
I kind of know that.
No, I'm just kidding.
Roping are the other ones,
Wow,
and you
hear about.
You hear about it's a curse actually, but you hear about these things, and that's scary enough. But if you hear about a woman with bat wings, that's even worse.
That's the thing. Now, could it possibly be some kind of a gargoyle? Is it a shape-shifting thing? Because now, obviously, no transformation was noted in the story. Right. The thing was already flying. Did not see the wings flap, though. That's the creepy part. So,
that made me wonder if maybe she was having, like a crash landing or something.
Right. It wasn't going well.
Had a malfunction of the left wing.
There's a road. I can land there. There's no branches on the road. Yeah, maybe, or is it possible that's, now I don't mean to get really skeptical, like uber skeptical, but I don't think you can remove these options as well. Now, I know people have made drones of like Superman and they've
Mjolnir.
They've retrofitted these drones with basically costumes and had them flying around. There's a ghost one that's really popular of these people hooking up a ghost and having it chase people around a park, which was in broad daylight and was actually kind of funny. But I guess thinking about it now, it's kind of a dicky thing to do. People are having a relaxing day and suddenly you got this wraith dive bombing you. But I think you gotta have that as a consideration, because we can't we can never get to the point where we go, oh, really? Flying people? Well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to question things. At least I feel that that's my job as part of doing the show. And I know, Don, you always have a real, not cynical, but a critical view of these things. And I think that that's good, because the minute you start walking around going, oh, I believe that, I believe that, I believe that. If everything's real, then, and maybe it is, but I think at least you have to question it. So I would wonder if somebody wasn't jacking with this person with a drone. However, it was just at dawn. I don't know many people that would be bothering with something at dawn like that. So that is a little more curious.
Yeah, I'd get tired of it too.
Well, you know what I mean? It's just a tough to sell it at that time. Now, if it was 5 p.m, sure, I could believe that, it could very well be a hoax. It just doesn't seem as likely at dawn when hardly anybody's driving around.
Right. Well, but that would be the best time to catch somebody, though. I mean, totally unaware. They're, woke up, they had their breakfast and they're driving to work, half asleep, I was like, oh crap!
Yeah, I know,
There's
but
a flying woman with bat wings.
So the other part of it is, though, if it was a pranky kind of thing,
right?
That's a really dickish move because somebody's driving a car. You don't dive bomb them with something creepy because what if they kill themselves? Was that funny?
Yeah, there's always good points and bad points.
Right, but I think those things have got to be
hell,
considered.
But it's dangerous as hell too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So that was one of the first ones. Now here's another one in this whole thread of winged beings. This is another one that comes off that same site. Winged beings.
What the hell is that?
That's a winged being, but it's on the ground.
Oh, okay.
See, it's got. I could really show it, I guess, but let me read it first, and I'll show you guys after that the one image that seems to be an artist's rendition of what was observed.
I certainly hope so.
It says Illinois woman recounts encounter with huge winged being preceded by anomalous beam of light 2 years earlier. Well, how are those related? If it was 2 years earlier, it's not like it just appeared. That's one slow materialization, huh, Don?
Wow, yeah.
All right, so it says, the Singular Fortean Society was recently contacted by a witness who said she had seen a hulking winged creature in Wakanda, Illinois.
Oh.
Wakanda, I thought that was in Africa where Panther lived. I didn't know there was a Wakanda, Illinois.
I didn't either.
Okay, that encounter was preceded by a sighting of a strange beam of light 2 years prior. But see, I don't know how those are related. That's quite a extensive period of time between things happening to be, well, that's obviously because of that beam of light. The witness agreed to allow the use of her first name, which is Paula. On April 20th, 2014, Paula was sitting near a window in the bedroom.
That explains it.
What?
April 20th.
Oh, yeah. It was a 420 going on there. 10-4. That's good. Good one. Good one. Don scores a shot. Sitting on the bedroom in the ground level apartment near Lakewood Forest Preserve in Wakanda when she saw a bright beam of light come shooting down across the street at around 11 p.m. It was so bright and defined, said Paula. The light, which lasted between 15 and 20 seconds, was an orange gold color and did not illuminate its surroundings, nor did it move much, making it only a slight side-to-side or back-and-forth motion. The light retracted and only to reappear a moment later. Paula fell back onto her bed in shock. Oh, my God, the thing sees me, she remembers thinking. It had the deepest feeling this thing saw me. Or said I had the deepest feeling that this thing saw me, and it knows. But the light retracted a final time and was gone. I heard the hum at the end just before it took off. So she seems to be thinking it's a UFO kind of light, which I would agree. Mm-hmm. Especially if it wasn't even like illuminating. There was like no reflective light from it. Mm-hmm. So that's really bizarre. I think that kind of redefines the characteristics of light. But 2 years later, in 2016, also on April 20th, there you go. Paula encountered a terrifying winged being in the same area. She was taking the garbage out just before 6 a.m. when something drew her eye from across the street. In the early morning gloom, she saw a huge winged being. Paula described the being as perhaps 7 to 8 feet tall. Wow, that's huge. When standing erect, but it carried itself hunched over, limping along. It was completely black, and from what she could see, its upper body and head were covered in hair. Now, Duke, isn't there a bat squatch out there that people claim? I've heard of that.
Huh.
And so I don't know if this could be a bat squatch, but being 7 or 8 feet tall, and well, let's continue reading, I guess. So the being had long leathery wings, which were partially wrapped around its body as it moved towards Paula, jumping forward similarly to watching someone move through a strobe light. Oh, that's creepy. The terrifying creature made an unnatural groaning noise as it advanced. Paula felt a palpable sense of evil emanating from the Batwing monster. "This is evil," she recalled. "I'm seeing evil." Wow. So she quickly ran back to her apartment. She, it's the typical, I'm fumbling for my keys in the door. But when she turned around after she got inside, it was gone. So very interesting. Oh, sorry. Okay, Julia, good night. I know Julia's not feeling well, but take care of yourself. And let's see, what is Duke saying? He said something about northern Mexico.
Yeah, that's all he said so far.
Oh, northern Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll have to see if he comes up with any gems on this one. Because I know I've heard of Bat Squatch. I never really gave it much credence, but I don't know if they're... the part that's creepy about this one, though, is that it apparently kind of it like came forward in jumps like it was in a strobe light. So that to me is just really bizarre.
It's kind of scary.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Let me pull it over here and I can show you the rendition that's on this website as to what this thing looked like, and it should be on your screens now. For those of you that are on YouTube, you'll see this. For those of you that aren't, picture a suburban looking neighborhood it's all just a pencil drawing or pen drawing. But in the middle of the scene, right next to a sidewalk, is this big, bent-over-looking shadow that appears to have folded-up bat wings around its legs. So it's not, anything really impressive, but just to give you an idea. And again, this is believed to be like 7 or 8 feet tall. That's huge. Mm-hmm. How could something 7 or 8 feet tall, hulking figure get airborne? You know? Is it like a bee? Do those wings just go like a bee? So
well, bees technically shouldn't be flying anyhow. It's aerodynamically impossible.
Well, apparently that's what I've heard, but clearly they've figured it out.
So Duke says bat squash reports are mostly from the wilderness areas of northern Mexico.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. So that's the next one that I thought was quite interesting to discuss, but... if any of you also would like to discuss, please call in. Talk to us because we're just waiting. We're just waiting for the communication. Right, Don?
Yeah, absolutely. 720-923-0500.
That's the number, ladies and gentlemen, to call in. Now, this is one I really wanted to read, and the reason why is, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been paying attention to the show at all or heard me recount, I even shared this on Sasquatch Chronicles, actually, when I was on there, about my incident of seeing a UFO for the first time. And I've shared it on the portal many times as well. So very bizarre, but this really helps to validate, for me, what I saw. Not that I need the validation, but it says pilot near Las Vegas spots UFO only visible through night vision.
Oh.
Night vision goggles. So, and that's the thing. And now when I experienced this, that's the only time I saw it. But let's see what this person's saying. So, an air ambulance helicopter pilot reportedly witnessed an unidentified flying object while flying over Las Vegas at 9 p.m. on March 17th. So let me look at the date on this. So it is of this year, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so the pilot at Mercy Air 21 in Augusta, 119 Koala helicopter, was flying approximately 15 miles west of Las Vegas when he spotted some sort of object over the southern hills that was only visible through his night vision goggles. The story broke on Twitter with a post by aircraft enthusiast Brian Herbert. And what he said was, 125, 9,000... pilot reporting a UFO at 7,000 feet around the Southern Hills area of Las Vegas. From there, at aircraft spots alerted the War Zone, which it sounds like another publication of some kind, and posted an audio clip to SoundCloud of the pilot's interaction with air traffic control. I wish we could play that, but I don't have permission for that, so I can't share that with you guys. But if you're interested in hearing it, I can certainly share a link if you guys want to check out the actual pilot interaction with air traffic control. But according to the audio clip, pilot says, "Just to advise, looks like I have some sort of object over the Southern Hills area. Looks to be about 7,000 feet and could be a balloon or something along those lines. It's unlit, so just advise." Air traffic control. Okay, I'm not seeing anything in that area, but it's tough to say. Like, you're saying there's something out there? Pilot, yeah, I can only see it. I've got night vision goggles on, and I can only see it through the goggles. Air traffic control. Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Says that's awesome. The Southern Hills refers to the Southern Hills Hospital and Medical Center, a hospital in the southwest corner of Las Vegas metropolitan area. According to the available positioning data, the helicopter was flying at an altitude of 7,000 feet and was around 9 miles away from the hospital. The object was about eye level for the pilot, meaning it was at a similar altitude, and hovering over the hospital would place it approximately 9 miles from him. The altitude and distance would seem to make a misidentified balloon unlikely, but it's impossible to say without knowing the object's size. Air Methods, the corporation which owns the local Mercy Air operations base, out of which the helicopter operates, instructed the base not to provide comment or access to the helicopter pilot who witnessed the event. On March 20th, Air Methods issued the following statement in response to inquiries regarding the incident. The pilot believes that the object in questions were Mylar balloons. The actual identity of the flying object remains unexplained. Now, who the hell can see Mylar balloons at 9 miles?
Yeah, that's a huge Mylar balloon.
That's just ridiculous.
That is, yeah, that's, and that's, here we go again with the Mylar weather balloons. And
right.
Well, it didn't say weather balloons. It just said Mylar balloons.
Right. Oh, okay, geez. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the first break, so stay tuned for more of the Paranormal Mayhem from the Paranormal Portal, and we'll be right back. gentlemen, welcome back to the second half hour of the Paranormal Portal. I hope you guys are enjoying the journey so far. I know I am. I always try to enjoy myself anyway.
Oh, there you go.
Well, you know, I mean, because I'm in such great company, how can I not enjoy that? I mean, this is always an epic journey, but I am joined as well by Mr. Longbeard. I forgot to put you on the camera.
That's all right.
But you're there now.
Yeah, it's fluttering by like a bat woman.
Like a bat woman.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. But it was a good shot in the dark there.
Shot in the dark. Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, we're just going through a whole night of Paranormal Mayhem here. So I hope you're just in the mood to kick back and relax, and always pay attention to the YouTube chat, because our local Paranormal Portal mixologist, Mr. Haxer, is always up in there, and he gives out a great liquor recipe every night. And to those that don't drink, then I understand and respect that, but I think it's pretty amazing. Though last night he mentioned hurricanes. I haven't had a hurricane since I was in New Orleans, but they are the most amazing drinks because they taste like a fruity punch. I mean, they're just really amazing, but it's like rocket fuel.
That's not good. That's not good.
I like those and Long Island iced teas, because when I drink at all, and ladies and gentlemen, I rarely drink.
Smashed.
No, not at all. But I don't like to have to fight it down.
Right.
Like, oh, give me a whiskey. Yeah, I don't want to deal with that. It's like I just want to have a nice thing to sip, and it's not about getting drunk for me. I don't like being drunk. I never like being out of control. So I mean, I got some horror stories from my past of when that was just the case. And it's just like, oh God, I hated that. So I don't drink to that extent, but I do love a nice light and fruity drink. So definitely check out the chat. If not for the wonderful, amazing people that are in there, then at least you can pick up a new recipe for something fancy in there at any time. Did he already give out his drink for tonight?
Yeah, it's a lavender mojito.
A lavender mojito. What the hell? That sounds great. I've never had a mojito, but it sounds good.
Well, yeah.
It's got a cool name anyway.
Yeah.
Whoa, what the hell? Look at that, dude.
What'd you do?
I didn't do anything.
Where'd you go?
My screen went black.
Wow.
Deb was warning me that I have to check things, because this is a few weeks ago, but having to do with connections. I better check the back of my computer. Make sure. But yeah, dude, you saw that. The screen just went boom. It was gone.
Geez. So he says use lavender syrup, and then he gave the recipe to make lavender syrup.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very cool. But yeah, I don't know. My screen just went dark. So I got the Ghost app going though, and nothing's coming up. So
thank God.
Well, I don't believe in that thing very much at all, though. I think that they can make it go off, but I don't think it lets you know if they're here in and of itself.
No, that's when they walk through me.
Right.
I was like, yep, they're here.
They're usually there giving you a Joe Biden.
Oh, God, Creepy Joe.
Creepy Joe.
Oh, no.
Smelling your hair right now, Don.
Oh, it smells so good.
Yeah.
It's too bad you're not a clown tonight.
Yeah. Well, we got one of those on the wall behind you, thanks to Lady Death.
Lady Death.
It's right above your head. I can see it now.
I see it. I'm keeping my eye on it, too. Wow.
Oh yeah, Uncle Joe Biden. That's the same. Wow. That's the same rocket scientist that was telling you to blow a shotgun through the door if someone's knocking and you're scared. Yeah, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, just shoot them. They're not in your house yet. They're not broke in. Just shoot them. It's okay. They're probably black-eyed kids anyhow.
No, I'm not. Yeah, exactly. I'm not a political person at all. Honest to God, I'm not. In fact, I try to avoid those discussions at all costs, just, for whatever reason. But I'm here to tell you, I wouldn't put Joe Biden in charge of a bake sale. Oh my God. I mean, this is not a guy that should be having his hand anywhere near the button.
Oh my God.
So
don't let it go sideways, Don. Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, whatever. I see Haxer saying to check the portal email.
He sent that.
Oh, the hurricane recipe. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. that's a special treat for me. But if any of you guys want to see that recipe, check out last night's show, because it's that's a double benefit. Not only do you get to catch last night's show if you missed it, but you're always going to see a new recipe for some kind of amazing drink. And always drink responsibly. That's the important thing.
Maybe I should put some of these on a mug for him.
Yeah.
You can only get it at Cocktails and Corners, or Corners and Cocktails. I keep forgetting.
Cocktails and Corners.
Okay,
that's
cocktail.
that.
I did it right the first time.
And that's the other part of it, ladies and gentlemen. Our good buddy Mr. Haxer is starting his own club in Georgia, and it's going to be called Cocktails and Corners. And it's going to be a great place.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to head down there sometime.
He is, but he's gonna have to like join us, have a Paranormal Portal night down there, and we'll like webcast to him and have them webcast to us so we can see the crowd and stuff. That'd be fun. We're gonna do that. That's in my head. That's something that's in my head cooking. So we can do the Cocktails and Corners.
There you go. Ghost stories from Cocktails and Corners.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Yeah.
It sounds like a winning recipe to me. So anyway.
Recipe, huh?
Yeah, that was totally. That's the thing. I say that kind of stuff all the time.
It's my job to catch it.
And people think I'm like clever, but honest to God, the stuff just spews out. So anyway.
He says, yep, I'll be setting up a webcam.
So we got someone in there saying Maru Orochi.
That's Oro.
That's,
Orochi.
Now you changed it.
Yeah, he changed it.
Orochi Maru. All right, brother. I see you said my name, but was he saying something before that?
Say my name. He's been talking.
Oh, has he?
Oro's
to me?
always talking. Always. Well, I don't know specifically to you. I don't know if you're.
He says I'm a creep too, but I never show it. All right, so I don't know. I don't ever get a chance to watch the chat, and honestly, it moves pretty quickly. I'm usually reading other things, but I like that story. I don't believe that was a Mylar balloon. I think that's a cheesy attempt at disqualifying that event. You don't see a Mylar balloon at 9 miles.
No.
I don't care what kind of goggles you got on. And if he's flying a helicopter, he shouldn't have goggles on that are screwing up his depth perception. That's a bad idea. So if there's any magnification to him at all, I'm pretty sure that would be illegal. So to say that that's Mylar balloon is just ridiculously stupid. But that's the mentality we're up against here when it deals with the paranormal, especially with UFOs. Well, with anything, really, anything paranormal. These people feel like they just just got this smug attitude, and it really pisses me off because, it's okay if you don't believe in that. That's fine. But don't insult everybody else's intelligence. Don't condescend and be ridiculous. That's just stupid. So, anyway. Let's get off of that one. But very cool. It took the night vision goggles for him to see it, and that's what it took for me to see my first one as well. So I have seen other things since then, and mostly through the night vision, but perhaps they would be visible with my regular eyesight too. I don't know, but I haven't tried. Most of them are really far away. These little lights, much like the break in the first break that just went by, right? That's the UFO one.
Yep.
Yeah, where the green footage in there is my footage. In fact, we can show it.
Yeah, sure, if you want to.
Why don't we show it? Because I actually I put a clip of it up on Sasquatch Chronicles as well, because Wes and I were talking about it. He's like, yeah, send it over. I'll put it on the blog. And he did, and it's gotten a tremendous amount of views. But let me see how to do this. I got the clip somewhere here. So, Don, you want to talk for a bit?
Sure.
While I find this?
I found a whole website of like shadow people stories.
Ooh, please share.
When I was about 10 years old, I remember something a 10-year-old would never forget. Then why did you have to remember it? Okay. One night,
he's not 10 years old anymore.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
He said a 10-year-old would forget it.
He's 11.
Yeah, the 11-year-old him forgot all about it.
He's 10 and 365 days old. One night when I was sleeping in my room, I woke up for no reason and looked around the room, still sitting on my bed. At the time, I had no curtains on my windows. When I looked out the window, I saw a black shadow staring at me. To describe it, it had no face, and it was just plain black. I was so scared that I couldn't move. I was too scared to turn the lights on, so I hid under my blankets. I was puzzled also, because who would be staring at me from the second floor window? The next day, I told my mom about this, and I think she believes me. We put a blanket over the window so it wouldn't bother me anymore. I love it. It actually says bother me no more. Bother me, well, he's only 10.
Sure.
After that, it didn't bother me. But that very next night, my mom told me a black shadow came to her sliding door window. It was just staring at her, so she got up and turned on lights, but it was no longer there. She shut the curtains, and it left. So every night she reminded me to shut all the curtains in the house. A few years later, my little brother had the same experience. He woke up crying and was too scared to sleep alone for a long time.
Yeah.
My brother was, I bet. My brother was only 8 years old at the time. I don't know why this thing bothers us, but I can only give people advice. Close your curtains at night so things don't look at you. You know, that would be like one of my, biggest oh my gods.
Right.
What the hell?
The thing that occurs to me is there's many experiences people have, thousands and thousands, hundreds of which we've mentioned on the show through the years, but people seeing apparitions, ghostly apparitions, and commonly having the dark sockets for eyes. Like basically there's no sclera or pupil or anything. It's just a black mass. Now, that is not, in my opinion, that is not the same as a black-eyed kid.
Right.
Even if it is a child spirit, because by all intents and purposes, when people encounter black-eyed kids, they are physically there, and they're not doing anything usually supernaturally at that time. People just open their doors and they're there, and then, they do the whole demanding thing and want to come in. But they are physically there is what I'm understanding about this.
Right.
Now, most of the time when these people see the ghostly apparitions with black eyes, they see, they can tell they are ghosts, but they have black eyes. And I don't think that those are synonymous, but I bet a lot of people just lump them into the same category.
Right.
So
it wouldn't surprise me, because they don't have the common vocabulary that we do,
Right.
So they don't know what to say. Well, it was a dark shadow with black eyes. Well, okay, shadow person. No, it was something more physical. Well, then it's a black-eyed kid. Let's just get it out there.
Yeah, exactly.
As Diana would say, I'd drop kick the little sucker. There you go.
You said sucker, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yes, I said it with a slight lisp.
Yeah, that's why I made the clarification. Yes. Is we don't use profane language here.
That wasn't profane.
Well, no, not the way, not what you said, but what it sounded like was.
Well, that's like a kid, You guys. Anyhow. One night about a year ago, I was sleeping and woke up. I don't know how you could wake up any other way. If anything is going to happen, it usually does at about 3 a.m. I've noticed that. Anyway, I was half asleep with my head on the pillow and saw two beings, very dark. They were in the doorway with a faint hall light behind them. One was upright, one was on all fours. They looked real evil, and things didn't feel right. My husband was sleeping next to me, and our dog was next to the bed. They were both very restless, snorting, tossing, and turning. My husband was snorting. I started to pray. It took a while, but eventually I could tell that the beings were leaving. As soon as they were gone, my husband and dog started sleeping peacefully.
Wow.
That is crazy.
And a welcome to Jimmy Jean. Just came into the studio audience here on YouTube. Good to see you, brother. And Jimmy Jean's show will be following us into the microcosm with Jimmy Jean, and Rio will be coming up after the Portal on TFR iHeart. Tune in and talk stream. And Jimmy, if you're gonna do a YouTube show tonight as well, just let everybody know. Post a link in there, will you? Let people know where to find you.
Okay, so let's see here. The next one says, my name is Gabriella. I live in Munich, Germany. Since I moved to a small village, I've experienced this phenomena. I just found out about it, what it's called, or that it even has a name, and it's common only recently. I used to think I was crazy, as some days I couldn't sleep, like if something was bugging me, like an annoying mosquito, but different. I felt a cold wind, and my windows were closed. It's very cold at night here. And I also feel some kind of pressure or paralyzed sensation. I will just wake up. I will just shake and wake up, and I will see directly across the room a figure. It sometimes stinks, sometimes not. Wow.
That might be just from pooping themselves.
Oh, yeah, that might be true. That'd be me. It's like, can I get some clean sheets, please?
Oh my God, what's that?
Where's the pair of sheets at? I need the pair of sheets.
All of a sudden you get this uncontrollable cramping and contraction. It's like,
Oh, boy. Tonight's the night, huh? Brent's losing his mind.
it happens, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a little punchy today, I'll tell you that.
There might be months, even 7 or 8, in which nothing happens, and then it comes back again. Doesn't seem to follow a pattern. Can happen during the day even. That's even more rare. I also feel or hear like whispers in my ear. Oh, there's Joe Biden. I would just like to get rid of it. Call it superstition, but I once made a spell from one of those magic sites, bad, to get rid of it, and it left the entrance of my bedroom. Well, the thing left. Maybe it's just my subconscious, but I just recently found that many people have experienced this. I thought it was only me. It was an accident that I was looking at a news article talking about alien cover-ups and stuff, and it ended in this guy, Art Bell's website, and he had those. This is kind of weird to read.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I thought there was something wrong with me. I can even feel their presence or its presence, and feel the feeling of being observed.
Oh.
And then months go by and nothing. Everything's okay. Wow. Okay.
You know, a lot of these actually sound more just like, haunting kind of things.
Yeah.
They don't really sound as much black-eyed kidsy as they do just paranormal activity in general.
Well, these are about shadow people.
Oh, these are shadow people.
Yeah,
I was thinking, why was I thinking black-eyed kids?
Because we got off on it. Because we talked about how people may mix them up.
Oh, right. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
I'm only running on about 2 cylinders tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm giving you all I got.
All right, so let's see here. I've been living in the house I'm in now for almost 2 years. During that time, there have been several occurrences of what compares to other people's sightings of shadow people. About a year ago, I awoke to find a head of a man staring and floating over the bed beside my husband. I screamed at it to leave, and it just evaporated or dissolved. Not long after that, maybe a couple months, I woke up in the middle of the night to find a full-length shadow of what appeared to be the shape of a man hovering over my husband's bodies. I sat up quickly and gasped. When I did, the shape turned into what I can only describe as a ricocheting shadow bouncing off my walls before exiting the room through the door. There have been other occurrences, shadows and otherwise, but just recently I fell asleep in my son's bed and woke up in the middle of the night to see 4 shadow blobs with yellow eyes kind of hunched over my son's dresser staring at us. I closed my eyes a little afraid, and when I opened them, they were gone. Ooh. My son says he's seen a large shadow of a man come out of his closet in the middle of the night. That's just Sully Monster. It might even seem strange, but I think that they actually have entered through the closet in my room. There have been times when I have stayed up late and am the last person in bed. I always make sure to close the closet door in my bedroom, but in the morning the closet door would be open.
Wow. I wonder what it is about closets that they end up being these creepy like portal locations. Over and over and over we hear about closets. And I don't know what it is about a closet, but God, there's just
it's kind of a door to nowhere, actually.
Right. You know, that's the weird part. It's just like this. It's a doorway to a little space, but God, it seems like it's like a freeway with the things that come in and go out of there. And so many times we hear that very thing. I shut the closet doors religiously before I go to bed. That's always creeped me out since I was a kid. I woke up there wide open and I felt this presence, and it's like, man, damn closets.
I know. Wow.
They are always used, and I don't know. That's just weird. Creepy weird.
But it shouldn't be being used as a front door.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's not.
In that case, get the shotgun.
Yeah. Shoot right through it.
Shoot right through that
Just
door.
ask Uncle Joe. You just pull a couple rounds through the door and your problems go right away.
Except for the murder charge. You know,
I know.
whatever.
It's like, really, Joe? Seriously? He was just smug as hell when he said it, too. It was like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, didn't somebody actually do that and they got in some like
I
serious
think so,
trouble?
yeah.
I think a woman did that, yeah, one time.
Well,
And that was the whole thing.
The vice president told me.
I do remember.
I wonder if that'd
something
hold
like
up
that
in
happened.
court.
Well, you know, Joe Biden can. Never mind.
Yeah.
For years, I've been afraid to say anything about my experiences with the shadow people. Was I dreaming? Was I seeing things? Who would believe me? One day, while I was on the computer, I decided to do a search on shadow people, and to my astonishment, this page came up. I've always been open to strange things. My whole life, I've had deja vu on a regular basis, and in the past few years, my deja vu has turned into what I call a three-peat deja vu. I experienced the same thing 3 times instead of 2. Oh. I've seen shadow people for as long as I can remember, 3 or 4 times a year, usually after waking up, and always at night. I love it when they put that little usually after waking up. Really? Okay, sorry.
Good clarification, I guess.
I'd see a figure standing at the bottom of my bed, sometimes sitting on my bed looking at me. I used to gasp and think, someone's in my room. And then it just disappeared. I'd shrug it off thinking I was dreaming, but then a few times, while just laying in bed in a half sleep, I'd get a feeling that someone was watching me. Boy, this is just a...
It's a common theme, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, though, is I keep thinking of Joe Biden now.
Well, you what?
Keep thinking of Joe Biden. You put him in my head. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to have paranormal dreams tonight.
Oh.
I'd open my eyes, and the shadow person was reaching towards me. Then it disappeared, as if surprised that I could see it. But what really convinces me of the shadow people was when I got a beagle 2 years ago. She sleeps in bed with me and is very protective. One night, she growled at the bottom of the bed, and her hair stood up. I caught a shadow person out of the corner of my eye. Then it was gone. My beagle does this on occasion and even goes to the bottom of the bed and sniffs around. I'm convinced she sees it too. A few times a shadow person has lingered, but never longer than about 10 seconds. Maybe someday it will show me its true self instead of fading away. But then do I really want to know? That's always a good question. Do I really want to know what that monster is behind the door?
I know, it's one of the things.
Like, oh
You can't unknow it after you know it,
Yeah.
you know? It's kind of a one-way trip.
Yeah, exactly. Too bad it's coming and not going.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I think is just bizarre though? Okay, so you know, in these situations where you get these creeper ghosts that, you know,
Creeper ghosts.
well, you know what I mean? They just kind of stand in a corner and watch, you know, and that comes up all the time. It's like, what the hell is so interesting about watching somebody sleep? I mean, how bad is that reality that they have? That's the best thing cooking for them right now is just sit there and watch somebody sleep. You know, it's just like an Edward Cullen thing. It's a Twilight move, totally. Must be an undead thing.
Or just not dead.
I'm about to sit here and just sleep. You know, I wonder, you know what, maybe now interesting. This just came to me.
Oh, boy.
So I really believe that like spirits are completely telepathic.
Okay.
So maybe what they do is they just sit there and tune in on people's dreams.
Oh.
You know, maybe they're just, that's like Showtime. You know, it's like HBO, right?
Skinamax.
So I could have gone all day without that thing going on in my head. It's like, I don't know what kind of dreams you have, Don, but
I don't either. I don't have them very often.
we actually have to sleep for that to happen, I think.
Gotcha. There's a correlation there. Gotcha.
But that's maybe that's what's going on is that they find people that have really, you know, amazing dreams and they just kind of hang out, you know, and check it out. You know, I mean, honestly, what other purpose would there be? It's like, yeah, it would be the most boring existence, I think, possible, just to sit there and all you can do is just watch people sleep. So they must do it by choice. or maybe that energy is going on, and that's.
Wow.
I don't know. I think about things like this is how my brain works, ladies and gentlemen. You're getting a peek inside of my cranial.
You know how they say if you can't sleep at night, it's because you're awake in somebody else's dream. I wonder if it might be because shadow people are like tuned into you, and they're like disrupting your dream pattern.
Right. Yeah.
It's like I'm going to insert myself here.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think there might be something to that, honestly. And I realize that sounds really cheeky and stuff, but I mean, what other purpose would there be? There's zero entertainment value in watching somebody lay motionless for hours. Even if you're creepy, that can only go for so long. And you're like, well,
they're not going to work.
I'm going to head to the bar. All right, there's the hour break, ladies and gentlemen. We will be right back. These breaks are just sneaking up on us, but we're all good. But we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Don't go away.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart.
sense anything like it. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. The second hour of the Paranormal Portal is now commencing.
Excuse me.
How you doing there, Don?
I'm a little froggy.
Ribbit. Well, welcome back, everybody, and it's great to see you guys. So, Don, who's here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, hold on. Let me get there. So I've got YouTube pulled up right here. I've got Annette, Barry, got Duke, got D. Hi, D. I got Diana, Digger Dog, Gemini Moon, Lori Babineau, MCAT, Marcus Aurelius. We got Oro, we got Matthew Learn, Nadine and Nellie Moen, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Pam, Paranormal Portal. Sarah, Saya No Uta, and Steve Sran. That's who we got. Well, there's actually more in there, but that's all
Aussie
that.
Tiger Rock fam.
Yep,
See you in there. Did you already say that one?
Nope, didn't say that.
Didn't say that one. Yeah, I'm just looking through. Chev is here.
Chev is here. Yep.
Yep.
It's finally here. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the last one in gets to sweep up after. So
Yeah.
Chev, looks like you just volunteered.
There you go.
Jeez.
Travis Pritchett. There he is.
All right. Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here, all of you. You humble us with your presence. Of
I didn't
course.
say hacker, but he just changed his name to Cocktails and
Cocktails
Corners.
and Corners. Yep. Oh, good to hear that, Duke. Thank you. Kevin's getting better. Good.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was
It's
quizzing
always-
him about that the other
It's
day.
been all on all of our minds. Those of us that are aware that, and that's Kevin Lang, who's been a guest on the show, was going through some health issues, and of course our hopes, thoughts, and prayers and healing vibes are going out to you if you're listening. We love you, and get back on your feet, brother. And also our own Lady Death, who is still recovering from her back surgery. Yeah, and she's on the mend. It's got to be a tough thing, though, man. That's tough. I mean, I've had a lot of surgeries in my life, and you know, it's just horrible. Have you ever had a surgery done?
I had an appendectomy
Oh, okay. Yep.
and tonsillectomy, but I was like
Yeah.
8.
Being a kid.
But I had the appendectomy when I was like 23 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I had mine in my late 30s or mid 30s.
Really, honestly, that's it. I've been, pretty healthy for the most part.
That one sucked, though. I got to say, the appendectomies, that really sucked. Man, I had an emergency appendectomy, ladies and gentlemen, and I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't even know I was going to need a surgery. I just went in with 103 fever and pain around my whole middle.
Yep.
And so I didn't know. Usually you hear it's up on your upper right side, or you have that pain on your right. And mine was a band around my whole midsection. And the next thing I know, they're like, "We got to get you in right now." And I'm in the emergency room. They're like, "Nope, let's prep him for surgery." I'm like, "What? What's going on?" Well, my appendix was bursting.
Right.
And so they rushed me in and knocked me out. And the next thing I know, I'm in the hospital room after surgery. I don't know how long it took or whatever, but they got it out. Everything was fine. But it was a horrible thing. And so it's like day number 2, I'm in the hospital, and I call the nurse and I'm like, "Nurse, something's wrong." And she's like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't know why I'm not peeing. No, I'm hopped up on all these happy drugs and stuff, so I didn't know what was going on. I just knew it was really weird that I hadn't peed in 2 days that I knew of. and and she's like, "You've got a catheter in." And I was like, "A what?" Up to that point in my life, I didn't know what a catheter was. But sure enough, I went down and checked the real estate, and and there was a lot more going on in my junk than normal. That's all I'm saying.
Your real estate was worth more all of a sudden.
I had no idea what was going on. I'm like, God, I'm drinking all kinds of stuff. What's going on? So I learned what a catheter was that day, and yeah, so. I was thinking on my mind, I'm thinking, hey, somebody had to put that in. What the hell? I was a little humbled by that whole thing. A little disturbed.
Yeah, no doubt.
But
when I had my appendectomy, I woke up strapped down.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you a little combative, do you suppose?
Maybe.
Don's like swinging.
It's not a good thing to wake me up out of his sleep. It really is not.
I can imagine that probably wouldn't be good.
That's not fun.
No.
So people stand at my door.
Okay.
Don, they throw stuff at me.
Just from a safe distance.
Yeah, exactly.
They got the big long pole.
They're poking me in the nose.
Get up.
Can you feel this? It's probably from a few years of falling asleep on couches.
Oh.
And waking up with people messing with you.
Ooh, hey. All right. Well, on that note, not that catheters have anything to do with the paranormal portal, but they are a little paranormal.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I'm going to go through a few listener emails that we got. I meant to do this on the lead into on the top of the show, but it seems like now is a good time to do it. So I'm going to pull these up here just a second. All right. I got 3 of them, and all 3. No, I got no, not all of these, right? What the hell? No, some of these are, I forgot to unstar a bunch of them here, so there's one more. No, yeah, okay. I don't know if I read this one or not before, but I'm going to read it again. And this comes from a listener from out of Utah. And he said, "My deceased cousin finding my credit card.
Wow.
When I lived in my last house, I misplaced my credit card. And I can't remember why, but for some reason, I needed that credit card. While looking for it, I said a prayer in my heart that I would find it. And after an hour of tearing my room apart, I, for some reason, had a thought of my cousin, Charlie. When he was alive, he came over to my house, and we were about to head to a family reunion at a water park, but my mom could not find her wallet. Finally, Mom checked the laundry hamper and found her wallet with some cash missing. We suspected Charlie because strange things like that did happen when he came over. We hold no grudge against him before or after his passing. As I thought of him, I said out loud, 'Charlie, you should help me.' And then I thought to myself, since you were a thief when you were alive." I left my room to check upstairs, and when I returned, my credit card was on the laundry hamper, like someone had gently put it there, and I suspected Charlie because of the story above. My only other explanation was that it had dropped out of my pocket on top of the laundry. The laundry hamper was a plastic, large barrel taller than my waist. Wow. Well, that's a cool story. And the fact that you found it in the same place as your mom's wallet that many years ago is pretty intense. Very cool story, and thank you so much for sending that in.
Yeah, it does harken back to, the pranks Charlie was, up to,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and the fact they found it in the same location that they found the wallet after he had rifled through that as well is kind of intense. So here's one. I got 3 of them from the same listener, but let's get into these. And this is just a listener. It'll be anonymous. Excuse me. Wow. Sorry about that. It says, one day I was talking on the phone with a friend of mine when suddenly I had a video playing out before my eyes in detail. And I reacted, of course, freaking out. He heard me freaking out and asked me what was going on. And I told him I see a train and railroad tracks, and there is this crossing sign going off with the lights and the mechanical arm is going down. And he said, yeah, in the past got into a motorcycle accident with a train trying to cross while being chased. Ended up waking up in the hospital with tubes in my chest.
Wow.
And I said, no, this isn't about something that happened in the past, but will take place in the future. We talked a little longer about his ordeal in the hospital, and then he mentioned his girlfriend would be heading back to Washington and would be arriving at the train station, so he's supposed to pick her up there, and since we were on the topic suddenly of trains. Well, it came time to pick her up at the train station a week later, and she had passed away because of kidney failure and left the train in a body bag.
Wow.
I was pretty upset for losing a friend like that and would have liked to have been able to warn her. Another time I was watching a metro bus drive by on a nice sunny day, and I seen it suddenly running over my friend. I screamed out, freaking at what I had seen, but never really mentioned it because he thought I was still driving. I didn't know he lost his driver's license, and was taking the bus. It was about a month later he ended up getting run over by a metro bus, crushed his legs, and took many surgeries to fix them so he could walk again. I felt I could have prevented this, but I don't have enough confidence in my abilities, and I still have issues in believing in predicting the future. Thanks for listening, and also for sharing with the Paranormal Portal family. Very, very cool. And now, another one from this listener again, and now this has to do with a close UFO encounter. One of my closest encounters with a UFO happened in my mid-40s. It happened around 9 at night in my front yard, standing out watching the night sky, which I do often with a camera, only this time I was helping watch a pet while they cleaned something. And I happened to glance over across my yard and noticed this small orange basketball-sized light hovering about 9 feet off the ground and was around 5 cars from where I was standing. Very close, and I got many details from it. It was triangle shape and all black with a round sphere at the middle, and all along the sides were these orange lights that traveled one after the other back and forth along the sides. The sphere in the middle lit up like a light bulb, and then it disappeared, and I didn't see how it traveled. Since seeing this object, took notice of others' reports of seeing these strange small orange basketball lights in the sky, and I believe this object could be what others have reported to MUFON. During and around that same time, I also see during the day what looked like those Chinese lanterns, around 7 of them, and they moved weird like living creatures. The things would go flat and then move forward and then up, and I thought how weird they would let people do this near an airport and during the day. And then they started to move towards me, though. And I felt panic and scared because I didn't think it was lanterns. I didn't stick around for them to get near me, and this happened a couple of times during the day and once at nighttime, and they did not light up like a lantern. Could only see the white movements at night. These sightings made me very uncomfortable in comparison to other UFO sightings that I have had that I mentioned in the past when writing to you. I was hearing these jets flying over sporadically, so I lifted my curtain to look outside, and I see the chemtrails all over. It was overdone, you would understand if I showed you, and the video of it, which I have. I took and grabbed my camera, wanting to capture this jet making these things, and I videoed but never seen the thing was hearing. So I went outside and started to videotape, and when I went back inside the house to look over the film, I noticed I captured a possible saucer zigzagging away when I was videotaping from inside the house. I don't know why I didn't notice it until after the fact, but I don't believe it was a bird or insect type of phenomena. It zigzagged and went out of view just as quickly as it came into view. I noticed when zooming in and slowing it down that there was an exhaust coming from the object, So that is why I don't believe it was a bird or insect. That is very cool. And thank you so much for sharing both of those. And there's one more yet to go here. So I'm going to get to that one. I think so. I don't know. Oh, there is a link. Let me see. I don't know if this one's actually something. I got to read through this quick. Do you got something to read quickly?
Yeah, I can go back to my shadow.
Yeah, please
stories.
do that. I'm going to just check this out, make sure this is one to share. Or
Sure.
All right.
I've always had a sense of having something watching me. I can't say it was a bad feeling, just more like uneasy. I have a clear memory of when I was a young child. I had to have been about 3 because I was still sleeping in a crib. I remember something in the crib playing with me at the end. It was a dark shadow. I was scared until it started to play patty cake with me. It didn't have a face, only a dark, small form with distinct hands. It disappeared when my mom and dad came upstairs to go to bed. My crib was in their room. I just had an experience the other day with a friend. We work in a big care facility. We're assisting a resident. My friend and I were talking, and she suddenly turned her head toward the bathroom and turned pale as a ghost. She said that out of the corner of her eye, she saw movement, and it was a dark figure moving fast towards her out of the bathroom. When I turned to look, it disappeared. She never saw a face, just a dark form of about 5 feet tall. Many strange things happen in this room. We call it that room, the room with the deathbed. Wow. Many people have passed away in this bed. I've witnessed lights being turned on and off in here. It's always kind of a spooky feeling. I feel I'm more perceptive to these things now. I see them all the time out of the corner of my eye and find it very comforting to have found... So she found it comforting that she found other people that have had experiences as well. So that's kind of creepy. People moving towards you. No, that's okay. Never mind. Just stay right where you are.
Okay.
Let's see. About 7 years ago, I was working as a bus driver in NYC. It was an overcast kind of day in May 1995 at about 12:20 p.m. in the afternoon. My bus was not crowded as it could have been working in NYC. As a matter of fact, it was somewhat empty with just a few passengers.
Ooh.
I was stopped at a red light, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw a silhouette of my older brother sitting behind and to the side of me. I knew it couldn't possibly have been him there, as he worked in Manhattan, and I was in the Bronx. Not to mention, he wouldn't have known what route I was on. The figure stood there for a few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, I'd say. Then I looked around, and it was gone. I was so panicky I didn't know what to do, as this had never happened to me before. I got off work at 1:30. A religious woman, co-worker, basically started to preach at me how Jesus Christ had died for us so that we may be forgiven our sins so that we may live. I didn't understand why, but I just started crying hysterically, thinking of the possible implications of what it may mean. Although according to what she spoke of, to believe this, we will be all right in the afterlife. Well, to try to cut a short story, my 37-year-old brother died the following March in 1996. Since then, the connection I make is that when I see shadows, it foretells me of what is to come, of someone close to me. Well, now it's June 2003, and a few weeks ago, the same thing happened. But this time the shadow was my husband, who is very much alive, who was watching TV in our bedroom while I was in the kitchen preparing dinner. Again, I panicked and was thinking, oh God, don't let this happen to me again. I told my husband what happened, and of course he reassured me that he wasn't going anywhere. My husband is 36 years of age, and I don't know what all this means, but I sure could use some help figuring it all out so I don't lose my mind. Well, it's good that the husband's still around, but that's kind of, it's unfortunate to have like foreshadowings or premonitions of these types. I don't know how this one necessarily falls into shadow people, but
I guess because the shadow apparitions of her brother. Is what she said. Or
Yeah, but it was a very clear. It was just like
Yeah.
the brother sitting there. So
Yep.
interesting.
So I can read this.
Oh, excellent.
Is what I'm taking from it. But so this is the third of the emails in this grouping that she sent, and she says, "I believe that the UFO sightings they could be interested in my daughter and I because we are both have some very unusual conditions. My daughter's in her 20s now, but she's experiencing problems with what is called dextrocardiacitis inversus. Her organs are complete mirror image. If she was to get into an accident, they could not work on her because her organs are not in the same place as a normal person's are. And it's mirror imaged as well, meaning backwards. So I'm also with a condition, but they don't have a name for it because it never existed before. And my organs do not have a name because no other animal has these organs, including people. And that is why I don't trust doctors with surgeries that I need, because I've heard often from experiencers that have possible abductions and encounters with UFOs being twins or an unusual blood type or an unusual condition. Let's face it, though, all humans are hybrids with at least 2%, oftentimes having Neanderthal in the ancestry DNA analysis, and that Neanderthal experts believe bred with another hybrid, and they are considered hybrids too. Finding out about hybrids and being one, I searched for answers to hybrids and what makes one, and I also believe that hybrids help bridge the gap between chromosomes, allowing hybrids to breed, where if there wasn't a hybrid, they couldn't breed together at all. Like, for instance, they found wolf/coyote mix, and they can't breed together, so they found out that several different hybrids of wolf allowed for this hybrid mixture to exist. That's very, very interesting. Very strange. And, that's, I sure hope that you can get by without those surgeries for sure, because that's got to be a really frightening thing to be balancing on a pin, so to speak. Your health is unique, and you couldn't just go get the help of a doctor. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is wild, huh? But it wouldn't surprise me if there's more out there just like this. It's just that, I don't know. I guess in this age of internet, though, that kind of information can flow a lot more freely, because I've never heard of any of those, including the mirror image of the daughters. Her insides are mirror image of what normal anatomy would be. So very, very wild. And thank you so much for sharing all of those stories. They're incredible. And I'm just thrilled you chose to share them here. That's very, very unique. So, but that's the listener emails for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And if you have a story of your own or something that you'd like to share, paranormal or supernatural or metaphysical, esoteric, whatever. Cryptids, yeah, any of it, just send it on over to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to include those in the show if that's okay with you. But when you email, if you do email, just let me know if it's okay to use your name. I totally respect people want to have an anonymity, and there's no need for me to identify you on the air. But I just love sharing your experiences and things like that. I think it's one of the aspects of the show that really helped to make it amazing. Very, very cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I blew that up to read those. I can shrink it back down so I can see what in the world's going on around here.
Ta-ta-ta-ta.
And the call-in board, ladies and gentlemen, is open, 720-923-0500, if you have something that you'd like to participate with on tonight's show. Because this is all about the mayhem here tonight, know what I'm saying?
Whatever happens, happens.
Whatever happens, happens. Yeah, these Paranormal Mayhem shows are absolutely unplanned, except for Don and I just rifle through and find some things that we'd like to talk about, and we just go. We push play. And you guys get to be a part of it.
You get the result.
Yeah, good, bad, or otherwise. You get to share in the love here. So
there you go.
There you go. I'm just looking here on this 40 list. Anything else?
That's an interesting list.
This site? Yeah, it is really cool. Like, here's another one from this. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is singularfortean.com. Very, very cool site. I'm a fan of it. I've been reading articles on here for a while now, and they just do a phenomenal job. So definitely check them out. And I don't know if they have a member service or anything like that, but you might want to look into it. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. Let me pull this one open because this one sounds interesting. Former president of Poland warns of possible UFO invasion. Ooh, that's kind of cool. I kind of like it when the former politicians kind of come forward and give some kind of disclosure. But let's see what he's saying here. It says former president of Poland, Lech Walesa. I don't know how you say his last name. I've never known since the 80s when I first started hearing it. He made... Shaved by the Bell. I'll get into this on the other side, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting, though, but don't go away. We'll be back for the last half hour of the show.
Last half? Wow.
So we are moving along. Be right back. gentlemen, the last half hour of the show tonight. Oh my God, the time has gone so fast. What the hell is going on here? Well, we're in the portal, of course, and time has no meaning here. But I see Bam in the TFR chat room says false flag ET invasion for total control. Could be right. That whole project Bluebeam or whatever. Mm-hmm. You heard of that, Don?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Project Bluebeam, where they're gonna manufacture an invasion to get everybody to acquiesce and surrender any control to the big government body. I don't know what to think about stuff like that, but it's out there. There's thoughts like that out there.
Yeah.
So,
can you imagine waking up with Marty McFly over you? You,
no.
George McFly. Like, oh my goodness.
When I think of waking up with someone standing over me, that's certainly not the first one in my head. By the way, a special and wonderful happy birthday to my beautiful wife, who is having a birthday today, ladies and gentlemen. Mrs. Portal is another year older. And, I was kind of I don't know. I thought it was funny at the time, and she laughed. But I got her a cake, and she's 39, so I got her a cake, and I got the number 3 and the 9 candles, and then I put them on the cake, and it was 93. Lit them and brought it out to her. You know, it's just that funny, cute stuff that we do, just to keep it fresh and interesting.
Oh boy.
All right. So anyway, I just wanted to give
Very
my
life.
beautiful wife a happy birthday. Love you, baby. Thanks for putting up with me for another year. I know that's not an easy thing, and my hat's off to you.
Pardon me.
All right. So let's see. Where was I? I was going to talk about Lech Walesa. I don't know how to say that name. I know it sounds. It looks like Lech Walesa or Walesa, but I know there's a different pronunciation for it. I remember hearing it all the time when I was in the younger years. But he said former president of Poland, Lech, and whatever the last name is, made several cryptic statements regarding the possibility of an alien intervention in earthly affairs last week during a speech he made on the floor of the Civic Club in, what the hell is this name? Krosno, Poland. The statements were made in reference to potential turmoil involving France and Russia. He said there are 3 levels of intellectual developments on other galaxies. We are the lowest. Sounds like he's been watching, what's his name? Michio Kaku. Michio?
Yeah, the physicist?
Yeah, I like that guy, but I think he's a mouthpiece in a lot of ways, but I like him. He said, we are the lowest, and the higher civilization comes as a UFO and others and looks at what we are doing here. If we threaten to destabilize here with French President Emmanuel Macron, Russian President Vladimir Putin there, they will interrupt us, cut us in half, and the earth will collapse. Everyone will be crushed, predicted Walesa, or however you say it.
The Polish.
The ex-president of Poland, according to FAKT24. I don't know what that is, but there's a link to it. Such an alien civilization can hold us that way for 5,000 years, he added. They will send Adam and Eve, and we will build the world again. Wow, it sounds like he's believing in the whole Anunnaki thing, right?
Yeah.
The seeding of or the hybridization of us to
the
create
hibernate.
Well, yeah, right, but the whole Sumerian references to people being created by these Anunnaki.
There's somebody from Australia on the phone.
Oh, is there? Well, we better get to that because that can't be cheap.
It's Aussie Tiger.
All right, let's see what's going on. Oh, man, this damn mouse. There it is. Hey, the phone is unmuted. You're on the air from Australia. How you doing?
Well, look at here was on muted, on unmuted then.
Yeah, we don't know how that works.
It's my damn mouse. It's dying a horrible death, and it's re-clicking stuff just to spite me. So what's going on?
How you guys going?
Good. How you doing? What's going on tonight?
Oh, for me, it's not tonight. It's today.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Sorry.
They're actually tomorrow.
Yeah. How's the future looking?
I thought I might just call in with the one paranormal story I can remember ever experiencing.
Oh, great. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, what happened was, I think I was about probably 16, 17 at the time. I'm 33 now, so it was half my life ago. But what happened was, I ran away from home and ended up going to a camp I used to go on every school holidays. It was a Christian youth camp. And it's one of those places that is designed to look like an old style town, like with old wagons, like the police station, barber shop, and all that sort of stuff. The only difference is what looked like shops were actually rooms for people to sleep in. Anyway, when I ended up there after running away, that night I experienced, because there was literally no camp happening at the time. And what I experienced was I could hear kids laughing and playing and all that, and yet there was no one else there.
Oh, wow.
And when I went back to work up the next day, I actually met up with the bloke who ran the place. Turns out those graves by the church that they had there were real. They weren't fake graves. There were people actually buried there.
Oh, no. Oh, that's creepy.
And they were all children too. So.
Oh, no. Oh. So it was just kind of one event.
One thing I did off in the chat just before is that I have foreseen some of my future, but at the same time, I don't know that it's my actual future till I experience deja vu, like I've actually been there before when I actually haven't.
So you've had a premonition about your own life?
Yeah, but at the same time, I can't remember half of it.
What was going on when you had the premonition?
Wow. I was sleeping.
I understand. Wow, that's intense. So was it a good premonition or a bad one, or what are we talking about? I mean, if you don't want to be specific.
No, it was just one of those premonitions where it told me where I was going to be in the future, but in the dreams they happen differently. So it's like, okay, I wasn't expecting to, because right now I'm staying in a caravan park, and there are some details about this place that are exactly like one of my dreams. Wow. Exactly, detail for detail.
Wow, that's intense. Do you have?
And it's not until I get to the place do I actually go, well, I haven't been here before, but at the same time I have. Like, what the hell?
Has this ever happened to you before? Have you ever? Do you experience psychic activity in your life?
I think most of this paranormal and psychic stuff happened when I was younger. If I've been having it lately, I haven't really noticed, and unfortunately, I easily forget.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's really intense. Very cool.
And until I experience that deja vu, and that's the one word I can't spell. Until I experience the deja vu, I don't know if I've had the premonition or not.
Right. Wow.
It's trippy as.
Well, I mean, either that or
I love it.
either that or you're dealing with multiple realities. Perhaps there's a version of you that's ahead of the version of you that you are now. You know, in some other dimensional reality.
Yeah, and they're living a better life than I am. Because in order to, from what I can remember having the premonition of this place, I had a lot more freaking money.
Oh,
like I was like a whole heap of difference. It's like, if it is another version of me that I saw, bloody bastards are a lot richer than me.
Well, yeah, I understand. Very cool.
Yeah, I just had to comment just with the two sort of paranormal experiences I've had.
Absolutely.
Well, we really
Other than
appreciate that.
seeing a UFO,
You haven't, or you have?
but I have, but it was only like for 2 or 3 seconds, and then it was gone.
Boom. Well,
Like I saw 3 lights
uh-huh.
in triangle formation, then they just faded out.
Ah.
And it's like, oh, that's definitely not stars. What the freak was that?
That's pretty intense, but a lot of the sightings are only that long. I mean, people usually don't get to observe them for any length of time. It's just these quick little glimpses. Just like, in a lot of cases, Bigfoot or Yowie sightings are the same way. It's just like, boom, they're there, and boom, they go.
Yeah.
And if the distance were to go by, you see how far away these lights were? If it was one big craft, it was huge.
Wow.
Like, it would have had been at least 5 miles from light to light.
Oh, my God.
And it was in a triangle formation.
Wow. And it was only 3 lights that you
It
saw?
was huge.
But it was 3
I
lights.
could only see 3 lights at a time.
Now, the Phoenix lights,
And if it was,
have you heard of the Phoenix
like I
lights?
said, if it was one craft,
Okay.
yeah, I've heard of them and I've seen them on YouTube and
Right.
all that sort of stuff.
Now, those were apparently several miles wide as well, and were observed as one craft, but there were several lights underneath. So it's just interesting that you also saw a triangular craft, but your experience was just three lights. So very cool.
Yeah. And it's like I saw it. It's like, oh shit, someone sees us. We better hide. And then just disappear.
Yeah.
But they faded out at the exact same time. So that's why I think either it was one craft or they all just disappeared at the same time.
Wow, that's intense.
I just saw it weird how they were moving in formation perfectly and then just disappear at the simultaneously. So I just figured it was probably one big craft.
No kidding. Yeah.
And then I could see the stars behind it. So yeah, it was one big craft.
Yeah. That's what.
Like a mothership or something.
Right. That's the kind of similar to what the people at the Phoenix Light incidents said, is that, they could tell it was a solid craft because it blocked out the stars as it went.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's why I think it might have been a big one, but it was virtually right on dusk. Like, right, just as the sun was disappearing, it was right at that moment where I had light, but at the same time I did not, so I could only, and the stars are coming out, so it was literally just at that moment. So.
Wow. That's really intense, brother. Thank you so much for sharing all this with
And
us.
literally, I was literally about to grab my phone when it disappeared.
Of course.
Hey, what part of Australia are you in, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I'm calling from my mobile, so it don't matter which part.
Well,
But where all these experiences happened was down in Victoria, and I'm currently in Queensland at the moment.
Okay.
Gotcha. Well, very cool, brother. Thank you so much for calling and being a part of the show. That's awesome.
That's right, and I'm always trying to get listening to your show, but half the time I'm asleep when you guys are on.
Well, I'm glad you made it tonight, man. That's awesome. It's great to hear from you.
Yeah. And in the chat, I'm known as Aussie Tiger Rock fan.
Yep.
Oh, very cool. All right, brother. Well, thanks again, and call in anytime. We'll always answer the phone.
Yep, righto.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
It's always creepy to hear something like that. When he talked about the church camp that he was staying in, and the graves are actually real, and they're kids' graves at that.
Oh, that's heartbreaker.
Jeez, yeah.
All right, we got another call, and this one is from area code 503. You're on the air.
Hey guys,
Hey.
it's Travis again.
Hey, Travis again. How you doing, brother?
Good man. I was Is this show over at 9?
It is. Yep. Yep.
Okay, I'll try and make this quick. Today, I was helping my girlfriend's boss do some renovations at his work. He has a doggy daycare. But he was talking to me about his wife having these really weird dreams, which reminded me of one that I had.
Okay.
And in my dream, I was standing in a field looking up at the stars, and in the sky there was like 7 moons of different sizes around like the moon.
Oh yeah.
And I was looking at this group of stars, and I felt like there was this being there next to me, but I couldn't see anything. I just knew that it was there. And I was looking at these 3 stars underneath one of the moons, and they were all 3 different sizes. One was kind of big, one was a little bit smaller, and one was the smallest. And I was looking at the smallest one, and that being was like, you need to remember that star. That star is very important. You need to remember it.
Okay.
And I was just like, okay, I'll try and do that. And the dream ended, and I woke up, and I was driving to work, and I looked over at the moon, and the moon was the same type of crescent moon that I saw in my dream. And that star was right there where I thought it would be. And I just thought that was really weird.
Have you figured out what that star
And that's
was?
pretty much all. That's pretty much what happened.
Right, but have you looked?
No, I have no idea.
Okay. So I know that there's applications online where you can identify stars, but it'd be really interesting to hear if that star is one that comes up often in paranormal events. Because I mean, there's certain stars are believed to be or alleged to be the origin point for some of these visitations that we have. What is like the Kuiper Belt is one of them? Not the Kuiper Belt, is that right?
Well, the Kuiper Belt does, have something to do with it, but that might just be because of, me postulating again. So
okay,
but yeah.
What is the star system that we hear about often, like from Betty Hills?
Right, that's Reticula.
Zeta Reticula, yeah, that one comes up quite a bit, and it was I think first kind of put on the map in the UFO study from.
That's funny.
What?
She drew a map of Zeta Reticula.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, and I guess that came out as a result. But it would just be interesting if that star was perhaps in the Zeta Reticuli or whatever. I mean, I don't know. It's just really, really cool. And since it was such a significant thing for you, it'd be interesting to see if there's anything with that star that would be significant.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I'll have to do more digging on that.
Yeah, that's excellent, brother. And if you find out anything, please let us know. I'd like to hear more.
Absolutely. Thanks again, guys. Have a good night.
Brother. Have a great night. We'll see you.
Nice to hear from you, bud.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great show. I love this phone line. I just love it. And we've had a phone line available on Friday, Saturday nights forever. But now that we have our own line, it's like people are really more invested in using it and getting a hold of us. Because I mean, even doing the bedtime stories, I'll get calls. And it's like, yeah, that's awesome. Makes me feel really happy. I'm just got to thank Bam in the TFR chat. He said, happy birthday to the Mrs. Portal. So thank you, Bam. He might just have heard me, but I got to type it anyway. Just because that's how I roll. So, but yeah, Don, do you have any more on your list?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
We've got a few minutes.
Yeah. This happened when I was 19 years old. We used to live in a small 2-bedroom house. Other strange things happened in this house, which not only my family, but guests have seen as well. Mm-hmm. However, none as terrifying as the following encounter with this strange shadow being. Being the lazy bum that I usually am on the weekends, this one Saturday, I was still laying in bed around 10 a.m. I was awake, just laying there complaining in my mind about all the light that came into my room, which woke me up earlier than I wanted. I was laying on my back looking up at the ceiling when suddenly I felt a strong pressure on my chest. So heavy, this feeling, the atmosphere changed in a matter of seconds. I couldn't breathe right. The air was too thick to breathe, and my room was suddenly freezing cold. I tried to get up to get more air. When I managed to sit up halfway, I became paralyzed at the sight of this dark outline of a human man leaning against my door. I saw it clearly since there was so much light in my room. There was no face or eyes, just dark all over. The figure of a male, definitely, stood about 5'8" tall, and his arms were crossed to his chest, and his right leg was crossed over his left as he leaned against the door. It was like a shadow, but it didn't need the walls to appear on. It stood on its own, leaning against my door. And although I couldn't make out face or eyes, I knew it was staring at me. I felt threatened and tried to scream, but no sound came out of my mouth. I tried to move, but it felt as though someone was holding me down. Horrified that I couldn't move, breathe, or scream, I shut my eyes hard and started to cry. After about 2 minutes, the room temperature went back to normal. I realized I was able to breathe better, so I opened my eyes, and the man was gone. There it is.
Wow, very cool.
Crazy. Let's see here. All right, so I wanted to share my own story, my own quite chilly story with you. When I was about 4 or 5, I lived in Salina, Ohio, on the Grand Lake. One night as I lay in bed, I felt as if I was being watched. When I looked up, I noticed a very small shadow being cast from outside through my window into the hanging curtains. These curtains were quite thick. I hid my head under the blanket while I waited for it to leave, but it didn't. Eventually, I got so frightened that I leapt up from my bed and ran to the middle of the living room that my room was connected to. I stood in the middle of the room, and as I looked back, I saw the shadow move quite quickly from the window to all of the windows on the side and eventually on the front of the house, stopping at the front door. I felt as if I was compelled to open the front door. I resisted and ran to my parents' room, banging on the door. My mother seemed to brush off anything that I said and mentioned that the neighbors had company and maybe that I was just noticing. Either way, I was quite frightened. Another story of almost opposite connotation was what happened to me 2 years later when I was living with foster parents during the very long separation of my parents. I was sleeping in an upstairs room for several nights in a row, and I would wake up around 6 a.m. to see what I called the golden angels, beings of light that appeared fuzzy when you tried to focus on them, walking out of the room across the hall in single file. The first night, they merely came out and walked downstairs. The second, they were carrying what I called a sword, but it's better described as an extension of the same substance that they were made of, but appearing in the silhouette of something being carried, perhaps a stick. On the third and final night, they would touch this thing to another golden object on the floor, as if it were a rock or something. I felt no fear from this experience, only pure interest.
Wow.
Yeah, so Black-Eyed Kids, the first part about this just immediately sent me straight to Black-Eyed Kids because something looking in the window, shadows projected onto and then it ran around the house to the front door, and then feeling compelled to open the front door. Luckily enough, he was able to resist but that seemed kind of Black-Eyed Kiddish to me.
There's darn Black-Eyed Kids.
Ugh.
It does, for sure. So anyway, I guess we're down to about under the 2-minute mark.
Really? Okay.
That was a lengthy story.
Wow. Nice.
But you read it like a pro. It was wonderful.
Stuttering and stammering the whole way.
Nah, you were eloquent and poetic. I don't know. I didn't have any other word in my head. So that one got used, but ladies and gentlemen, again, stick around for Jimmy Jean coming up next. If you're listening on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, he and Rio will be ramping up a great show. There's no question about it. And I don't know if he ever did drop the link in our YouTube chat.
I don't remember seeing
I know he said he was going to get one, and I don't know if he did. But
well, you know what? I don't think he can actually drop links in the YouTube. But if it's in the TFR, I can certainly copy it over.
Yeah, Jimmy, if you need us to copy over a link in the YouTube, if people want to check out your show, put it in the TFR chat quick, because you got like 30 seconds.
Otherwise, you're on.
Otherwise, you're on your own, brother. So anyway, guys, we love you bunches. Thank you so much always for being a part of the show and being a part of the Paranormal Portal experience. You guys make it the experience. We just turn on the lights. You guys bring the magic.
Do we turn on the lights or do we turn down the lights?
Well, yeah, I try to turn them on before every show.
Yeah, but we see
on the wall. And
okay.
All right. Anyway, all right, guys. Love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and laugh as much as you're able. So, Don, anything quickly?
Good night.
That's good enough. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow night. Hey, Brandy, good to see you in the TFR. Good to see you. We'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow night for the bedtime stories. Don't go away. See you soon. Love you.
Truth.
Hi, guys. You still there? Hey. Are you still here?
Uh-oh.
Are you still here?
What are you doing?
What
are you teasing them?
I don't know.
Psst.
The other part's over. No, I'm just kidding.
The other part's over. Don't go back. Hey.
We don't want to go yet. But I'm not done yet.
Uh-oh. What you got to talk about?
I don't know yet. I'm not really sure if I got anything to talk about. I just wanted to thank you all for being here. I know that you guys have been, honestly, you guys make this an incredible experience, and so many of you have been spreading the word and sharing information about the portal. I wanted to make sure if you want to help support the portal, check out teespring.com/stores/paranormal-portal. Is that right?
That's right.
And the link is in the description below. We sure appreciate it. And thank you to those people who have ordered. That's wonderful. And it goes a long way into helping us develop the show and making it bigger, better, and greater for all of us, I guess. But I suppose I can read you guys one Encore story. You want an Encore story?
Yeah,
I can give you one.
Matthew Learn says Encore.
Encore. We deserve better. What? What is Marcus talking about?
Who cares? We just deserve better.
Well, that's true. We do. No, I'm just kidding. You guys make it all wonderful. So here's a story coming out of Ghana. Now, we don't get a lot of stories international like this, but this has to do with a evil forest, and I thought it'd be kind of cool. And I didn't read it last night because, we didn't really have much time. But hey there, it's been a long time. This post is supposed to be very short, but due to YGS... I don't know what the minimum character count and stuff. I'll try to make it as long as I can. Well, here it goes. It happened when I was in high school around 2011, 2012. I went to a boarding school, and the school was located in the countryside. If I may say, from the boys' dormitory, it's nothing but forest. Miles and miles to the horizon, and we all knew the school was very haunted. Those will come later, hopefully. And no one ventured into those woods, be it daytime or whatever, although some stubborn ones venture and all live to regret their decision. This is the story of one of those guys, and let's call him Max. Max was seen as those athletic type of guys, big body, tall, you know what I mean. He always said there was nothing in the woods and he can spend the night there, blah, blah, blah. Well, he got on a bet with a friend, and around 2,300 hours, he set off to spend the night out there alone. About an hour or so later, his scream was heard. He screamed, "Jesus!" Everyone was scared to follow up, so they contacted campus security, and about 8 of them came and set off to search for him. They found him, but he was unconscious. To date, it says till date, 5 or 4 years later, Max has lost his ability to speak. And whatever he saw has also affected him psychologically. Nobody knows what he saw, and no one is ready to do a follow-up to the woods to rewrite history. Well, not yet at least. To my main story, one night, obviously midnight, a friend, Mike, not his real name, woke up and started calling us to see something we sleep in bunk beds, and he was right by the glass windows, so he could see outside when he's in bed. We went up to his bed, and what we saw, I can't understand until date. A giant ball of fire was jumping among 3 trees. And these trees were not small. I mean, they were huge, tall trees. And they also weren't close. They were far apart, at least 100 meters between them. And the flame fire thingy was just bouncing from one to the other, like it's no one's business. We looked for minutes until the fire eventually disappeared. And we all went to bed really confused. Tried to watch it again on several occasions, but it never happened anymore. At least, so we think. So there you go, a story.
Duke says he's got a short story for us.
Well, do you want to call in, Duke?
Yeah,
I'm not
call, Duke.
Just wait, I got to reconnect to the phone line because
okay.
I had to hang up the line. So just a second, Duke. Let me reconnect to this, and we'll. There's that Skypey sound. So the Duke is able to call in if the Duke would like to call in, because you're the Godfather.
You're the Godfather.
The boss is about to call in, huh? All right, so Duke, we're standing by. Again, 720-923-0500. If you'd like to share your story, we'd love to hear it.
Waiting.
Please enjoy our...
I have no idea where you're going with that. Well,
I was going to say intermission, brief intermission.
Please enjoy the brief intermission while we wait for Duke to call. 720-923-0500.
And he's like, where'd I put my phone? Where is it?
I'm in the basement again.
He might be. I don't know. I don't know what Duke's basement is like, but it brings me visions of yours.
Oh, well, that
which I've never seen.
Freezer down there.
Yeah, I hope they all like it in there.
Oh, yeah. It's nice. They're just chilling.
Paging Duke. Paging Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, you're needed on the phone. Mr. Sullivan.
Mr. Sullivan, line 1.
Clean up aisle 2.
Oh, boy.
The basement talker. This is a YouTube-only Encore version of tonight's show, so I hope you guys are enjoying
Only
this.
The 30.
There he is.
Oh,
he's calling in. And ladies and gentlemen, let me please welcome you, Mr. Duke. You are on the air now because my mouse worked. Yeah.
What's up, Duke?
Touchy button.
Oh, man, I got all kinds of them. But the mouse one isn't good either. So what's on your mind tonight, brother?
Well, usually I tell Bigfoot stories, but one of your shows I was watching the other night jogged my memory about probably the scariest story I ever heard, so I thought maybe I'd call in and share it with you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
And this story is from the homeland of Halloween, and you know where that is, Brent? That's Minnesota. It's one of the eastern or western suburbs of Minneapolis where they started first having actual annual Halloween celebrations.
Oh, that's
before that, quite a bit before that, they would have, of course, Yuletide and harvest festivals and whatnot, and they would have barn dances, and there'd be the bobbing for apples and carving pumpkins and putting the little candle in there, making your jack-o'-lanterns, and all that sort of stuff was going on. Well, this was actually about 8 miles away from the setting for a Little House on the Prairie.
Oh,
it was
nice.
an actual place. And this was in a little small town about 8 miles away from there. They were having a barn dance, and you have to picture like the old classic Western barn dance with the band out the back of the barn playing, and the weather's beautiful, and everybody's outside dancing, and they got their lanterns up and stuff, and there's a little lake there right next to the barn, and everybody's dancing around there, and a few people would. It was sort of a costume optional, I guess. So some people had masks, and this would be more like what you'd picture for like the olden days, where they would have a half mask that would like cover down to your nose or something, just sort of around your eyes and that sort of thing.
Sure.
And apparently some gentleman showed up, and he had a very unusual costume. Now, backtrack for a second. This story came from my mom, who told it to me that she had heard it from her mom only a few years before I was born.
And neither one of them was into paranormal or, psychic cryptids, any of that sort of stuff. My mom had a little interest in ghost stories, and that was about it.
Okay.
And she said my grandma had no interest in it whatsoever, and this is like the only scary story she ever told. And she could tell by the look on my grandma's face when she told it, she was dead serious because it scared her to even tell the story.
Wow.
But she was one of the ladies present when this happened, and they're all having this barn dance, and it's sort of like, picture the scene with the hobbits at the beginning of Lord of the Rings there, where they're having a big celebration in the Shire, and everybody's dancing around having a good time. This gentleman shows up, and he's got sort of a devil costume on. And nobody really recognizes him. But, being that he's a Slav debonair, good-looking sort of guy from, the part of him that they could see anyway, all the ladies were like, well, I'll dance with this guy, So he was swinging them all around and dancing with everybody that he could. And actually, he was like almost too good of a dancer, and he started wearing them all out. And after a while, I started getting suspicious, who is this guy and where did he come from and stuff. And then apparently they all kind of got the creeps or something and decided they wanted to sit it out. And he was still trying to find somebody to dance with them, and nobody danced with him. So he took his little pitchfork that he had there and started dancing with that. Literally, it was dancing by itself, and he was dancing around with it.
Oh, no.
And, so you've seen the magicians do tricks like that. Okay, that could be a magician's trick. And then they didn't know that, of course. These are farmers. This is around over 100 years ago.
Sure.
And they're getting pretty freaked out by this whole thing, and the band stops playing, and he hasn't got any music to dance anymore. And he sort of notices there's this hushed silence and says, well, then, in that case, I bid you all adieu. And he bends over, bows to the crowd, turns around, and walks down into the lake, and walks underneath the lake.
Oh, my
and
God.
doesn't come up again.
Oh, wow. That is really intense. Holy macaroni.
That's crazy.
And yeah, they searched all the way around the lake and everything. They thought the guy drowned. They actually drugged the cow pond the next day to make sure there wasn't a corpse in it.
Wow.
But he was not in it. And obviously there's no such thing as scuba gear back then. So you guys tell me how that happened.
Oh, my God.
But there's 40 or 50 witnesses that saw it.
Wow.
That is really, really intense. And that makes me wonder. I mean, obviously it was a physical presence. It wasn't, it wasn't just
people were dancing with it.
Wow. That is really, really intense. You imagine, I think in terms of what could it be? And honestly, I mean, could it be a manifestation of a devil? Could it be, something of that line? It seems like a real trickster kind of thing, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, from what I've been able to gather from the old mythology on it, that devils can have, they're fallen angels. They can have enough power to make themselves physical forms. They may not be able to maintain it indefinitely.
Sure.
But they could make one if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So that could be what they were actually seeing, was literally a devil had manifested itself physically and had a little fun with them and then scared the hell out of everybody and left again.
No, I think I actually ran into an angel one time, Duke. And it was...
and yeah, it says in the Bible too, angels will appear to you in physical form. You can sit down and have dinner with them. You can shake their hands.
Right.
They can make themselves physical.
Well, do you mind if I tell you a story?
Go, man.
All
I want to hear it.
So I believe I encountered an angel. And what was going on was at the time I was working in security. I was just 18 years old, and so I was just out of high school and moved out on my own with a friend of mine, and I landed a job in security. And so I was guarding a parking ramp in Minneapolis on the corner of Franklin and 94. So it was right in the real scrubby area up there, and really risky and stuff. So I worked there for about I suppose about 6 months.
Is that tall ramp, Loring ramp? It wasn't Loring ramp, was it?
No, no, but it's not. I don't think really far from that area. But so I'm at.
Yeah, that's right in the same area. The reason I asked is I actually worked there for about 6 months.
Oh, did you?
Hilarious. It was the same ramp.
Oh, that would be. Yeah, I was called the Borson Towers, where I worked, and all I had to do was guard the parking lot, and so it got to be winter time, and we had a warning from the security company. I worked for a company called CPP, that was bought out by Pinkerton, or they bought out Pinkerton or whatever. But they said, we're going to have trouble coming up with the homeless people. And they said, you can't let them stay here. You got to kick them out. If they come into the entryways trying to warm up, kick them out. They don't want them here. And the tower management has said, get them out. And so it was like a brutally cold night. It was about 20 below zero in the Minnesota winters. And I was doing my rounds and stuff. And in the entryway of one of the entrances, there were two main floor entrances to this tower. And sure enough, there was this Santa Claus looking guy. And I swear to God, he had a bald head, he had white hair, and he had a big fluffy white beard, about the kindest looking guy you ever want to see. And he was in there, and the guy didn't even have shoes. He just had socks and not much for clothes or anything. And he was in there, and I was like, oh my God, what do I do? I'm an 18-year-old kid, and now I have to do what I think is one of the most inhumane things I can think of, which is to push this poor man back out in the cold. And I said, you know what? I said, I can't do it. But I tell you what, if somebody comes along, you got to work with me, and I have to act like I'm kicking you out. And then I said, and after the coast is clear, you can come back, and I'll just keep kicking you out if anybody comes around. And so that was our plan. And he came around, and he came over a period of several nights and would leave just before the dawn. And it happened for about a 2-week period. He was there for several nights throughout that period. He'd come in, and he took me outside and was explaining about all the night constellations and stars. And this guy knew everything about the sky, and he would tell me about all the stars and constellations, and and the history of navigation using them. It was just really brilliant. And finally, one day he came up to me, it was getting to be dawn on the final day that I ever saw this guy, and he said, I really want to thank you. He said you're a very kind and nice person. I was like, well, thank you. And I said, I really hope things work out for you and your life, improves. And so he gave me a nod, a smile, and a wink, and he turned, and I was standing out in front of the tower, and he walked off, and it was getting to be a little warmer, so there was a bit of a haze or fog, and he was walking down the sidewalk, and he got about a block and a half away, and I was watching him, and just at that time, I was just watching to see where he'd go, and he kept walking straight, and suddenly something snapped over to my left. I snapped my head back over, looked, and then looked. I didn't see whatever it was that made the noise. I looked right back, and the guy was gone. Boom, like that. And he just vanished into thin air.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, it was a true story. I swear on everything I love that's true. It's just, I guess that sometimes there are good things, but that barn dance deal, that really creeps me out.
That's creepy.
And especially that he went into the
water.
water.
That's been creeping me out for years. I heard that one, a long, long time ago, and it still creeps me out. And compare that to all the stories I've heard since then, and things I've seen.
Right. But wow, that's amazing. I really appreciate you sharing that, brother. I'm going to be scratching my head over that one for a long time now, because I want to know. That's the thing. I want to know when things like that come up. It's like, what is that? What is the purpose of that? And what could have done it? And what does this mean that there are beings out there like this? It's not a ghost story.
Yeah.
It's not a ghost story. Something was there physically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't get those ectoplasmic manifestations. It can be solid for a length of time. That's just
right.
That's a no-go there. There's something on a different vibrational frequency that's popping through to visit us for a while, or else it's got enough energy to actually physically create a physical manifestation for a while, and then just drop it again when it leaves.
And then dancing with
and either one is really creepy, and I think what's going on is that, just like you're just basically saying, that we're dealing with more than one extra physical intangible sort of thing, and they have different properties and different things they can do. And trying to figure out what they can do and what they can't do is really helpful in trying to figure out what it is you're dealing with. I get the same thing with cryptids all the time.
Yeah, exactly. That's just head scratchers, brother. But I really, really appreciate you sharing that with us. Thank you so much. And it's always a great pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. That's, again, one of those stories I couldn't tell on my show because I could never figure out how to sneak it in somehow. So I'm glad to have the Paranormal Portal where I can call it and share the really, really weird stories that I've heard.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, the reason I wanted to share this one is because this is You know, this is from somebody that's like not a tall tale teller, had no interest in that sort of thing whatsoever, and they were just flat out terrified when they told my mom. My mom said that was like one of 2 or 3 times in her life when she saw her mom actually look scared when she was telling her that story.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and my grandma was not a wimp.
Yeah.
So let's just put it that way. But yeah, thanks for giving me some extra time here to tell you guys that story. I've been wanting to call in and share that one with you. I'm glad I got the chance. I love your show, and I'll let you go. Have a great night, guys.
All right,
good night to everybody in the Paranormal Portal land.
There you go.
All right, brother. Have
All
a
right,
great night.
thanks, Duke.
Bye-bye.
Wow.
And as Duke would say, don't hug the Wookiee.
Don't hug the Wookiee. Wow.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with Duke, for whatever reason, you can check him out. He's the host and creator of World Bigfoot Radio, and he's a longtime contributor and sometimes co-host to Wes on Sasquatch Chronicles. So the Duke knows his stuff. He's been around and has become an amazing friend of the Portal. So
yes.
it's very cool and of mine as well. So not just the Portal. I consider him my friend as well.
He's fanboying now.
Yeah, I of course. Duke was someone I listened to for years. I mean, really, I became introduced to Duke when he was co-hosting with Wes all the time,
right.
And have since followed him to the World Bigfoot Radio as well. So. Just a great guy. But everybody, I hope you enjoyed this little encore. Thank you guys so much for being here. Again, we love you and have a wonderful night.
Good night again.
Good night. And this time for real.
Good night, sweetheart. It's time to go.
Do, 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 do.